Here's the funny thing. I remember having to put the order in for that visit. It's a different menu, different price point. And I mean, looking back, all of it just makes me laugh. I wanted to be mindful of like what she wanted. But, principals are busy. Hello. And so she wasn't able to get back to me. And I remember pulling my truck off on Appalachia just in a parking lot so I could call my husband. And I was in tears. And I'm like, babe, like, I'm supposed to go to WT Moore. I have to put my order in by right now. I don't know what to order. I don't want to disappoint her. What do I do? And my husband being so sweet, and he meant this, this was in a sweet way. He said, babe, I don't see what the problem is. And that forever switched something in my mind, because there wasn't a problem. He's like, she's just trusting that you're going to do whatever. You do whatever. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, then you're going to pivot. But he's like, you just order what you think you need to order, and you're going to be fine. Right. And he was 100% right. But I always think about that. Like, I don't see the problem.
Right.
And usually, my whole philosophy is I don't stress out over ice cream. I refuse to stress out over ice cream.
From Fiore Communications, it's How I Got Here, a show of inspiring stories from Tallahassee area leaders, business owners, and neighbors, all the challenges, opportunities, inspirations, the twists and turns of life that led them to where they are today. Everyone has a story worth telling, and I am really grateful that we get to bring a few of them to you. I truly have been changed by my conversations with these amazing people, and I'm confident you will be too. I'm Dave Fiore. And in this episode, I speak with Tasha Pizarro, owner of Momma Ice Cream, Tallahassee's only old-school neighborhood ice cream truck. But as Tasha will tell you, she's about a lot more than just ice cream. Her mission is simple: bring joy, create memories, and build real relationships in the community she serves. Tasha grew up in Rapid City, South Dakota, raised by a single mom and shaped by early lessons in hustle and responsibility. From delivering newspapers and blizzards at 10 years old, to working at one of the busiest McDonald's in the Midwest, she learned systems, discipline, and the value of just showing up. That foundation carried her into a 12-year career in education that eventually led her to Tallahassee. After one difficult school year stripped the joy from the classroom, Tasha made the unexpected decision to walk away from teaching and finally pursue an 18-year-old dream: a super cute, polka-dotted ice cream truck. What followed was a crash course in entrepreneurship, navigating Florida's commissary laws, cold calling businesses and schools, surviving a blown engine, and even pivoting during COVID to keep the business alive. We talk about resilience, faith, relationships, and what it means to really serve people. Because for Tasha, the ice cream is just the vehicle. The real work is connection. We began our conversation talking about growing up in Rapid City, South Dakota.
Very simple, very Midwestern. I've lost a lot of my Midwestern accent. I still have some people that notice that I don't have a Southern accent and I have something. So they'll ask me, where are you from? But it was just very simple. I was raised by a single mom. And so she worked a lot and I spent time at my grandma's. But I have a lot of good memories of Rapid City. Again, just a little elementary school 2 blocks away, or the snow, the blizzards. I handle snow differently in my mind than Floridians do, but my mom still panics about hurricanes. And so we've gotten used to hurricanes. And my mom will still message, oh my gosh, are you guys going to be okay? I'm so scared. But I grew up thinking, who would ever live in Florida? But we didn't have humidity, and so I will never get used to the humidity. We just had beautifully hot summers with just dry heat.
Right.
And it's funny because the daffodils are out now. And it's so warming to my heart because those would pop up in May at the end of the school year. And here we are in, it was January that they popped up. And I'm like, oh my gosh, look at this South Dakota flower popping up. But yeah, it was a lot of good memories.
Yeah, I'm not sure that the nice summers would make up for the snow for me, because it seems like a lot of snow.
Where we lived, Rapid City is different than the rest because we also lived in Minneapolis when I was a teacher, and that was a different winter. Rapid City, it could be a day like today.
Because of the mountains?
Because of the Black Hills. And so it would snow and melt and snow and melt. It didn't just pack up.
Right.
But, wind chill, like when we had a wind chill a couple weeks ago, and everyone's explaining what a wind chill is, I'm like, I got that. I know what a wind chill is. And, we told our oldest son, like, you need to make sure you bundle up when you go over to Lively. You need a few extra layers today because I know if your car,
Yeah, you never know.
gets stuck, you want to be comfortable and not sit there and freeze to death. You're not going to get frostbite, but
yeah. It's good.
It's different life, different things we think about. But,
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you like school?
Yes, I was a good student. I think I was required to be. My mom required that, and so there wasn't any ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I did it. I did talk a lot. I say it's like one of my spiritual gifts. God made me a talker. But I did. I enjoyed school. I have fond memories of just different nuances in like elementary school, just those little memories we all have tucked away. But yeah.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time up by the teacher's desk because I talked too much.
Okay.
Like she actually one year moved my desk next to hers.
Yeah.
For a while.
My husband already knew the story, but I was reminiscing recently in second grade. I was moved from green to yellow to red, and that didn't help. And so my second grade teacher put me in the closet in between her room and the other teacher's room.
Okay.
And I mean, it was like a teacher workroom.
Yeah.
So she put me in there.
Not like a dark closet. Like
The lights were off. It was the 80s, so we didn't, you know. But she's like, I will come back and get you when you're ready. I'm like, okay. And then she forgot about me and they went to recess. And we just think, because, being a teacher and stuff and how folks are now, like that would never.
No.
And I think I told my husband the reason I didn't go home and tell my mom was because I didn't want my mom to realize I had gone past red and had to be removed from the classroom. So I wasn't traumatized. I think it's hilarious. And the teacher, of course, was, I'm so sorry, I forgot about you. And I don't think I talked much the rest of the day. But again, it's just one of those that would never happen today.
No. And not too many kids actually got to experience what was past red. And you did. I did. That's special.
I did, exactly.
So what were you interested in, like in high school? Did you do sports or music or art or anything like that?
So my mom chose, for reasons, to homeschool me before it was like the thing. I didn't get the best education. We'll just leave it at that. My mom was a college professor by then, and so I was my own educator.
Okay.
Which wasn't the best thing. But by then, because I was at home, I did work. And so I was working at McDonald's. I was working at Hardee's. I had my own paper route at 10. I mean, nowadays, nobody at the age of 10 would be delivering newspapers at 5 o'clock in the morning.
You can't do that in the snow, though, right?
Yes,
in the winter.
100%.
On a bike?
Well, my mom would go with me.
Okay.
But yes, we're talking blizzard. Like, they didn't cancel the newspaper.
Right.
And that grandma wants her newspaper by 6:30. It's so funny because now that I look back, like I did play piano, I played clarinet. I was into sports prior to being homeschooled. Because now you can join a co-op.
Right.
Or you can go to a private school and they'll let you hop on the team.
And actually you can do that even in public school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But back in the day, it was like very taboo to be homeschooled. But I mean, like, those hours of working at McDonald's, obviously I got to talk. But like really shaped a lot of fast food is not what it was back in the 90s. And so I learned a lot of just self-control, or how to manage myself, how to interact with other people, how to work under pressure. Mm-hmm. I'm like, wow, those years at McDonald's, especially McDonald's, because I worked at the busiest McDonald's in the Midwest outside of the Denver airport.
Wow.
And so it was a well-run machine. And like, if you didn't have your black socks on 3 times, they fired you. Mm. And I'm like, wow, that really...
So you learned a good system and being part of that.
100%. There was a high level of expectation. And I think that like shaped me more than anything else.
Yeah.
Preparing me for owning an ice cream truck.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Systems and just how to do things and multitask.
And you also had obviously some discipline as a 10-year-old to get up early and do all that with the paper route.
Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of entrepreneurship for a kid.
100%. And so because it was to help support my family, help to support my mom. I wasn't just living off of my newspaper money. But I do remember having to go door to door and collect once a month, and you knock on the door and, hi, I'm here to collect, your monthly whatever. And obviously I get to talk to people, but I would have to get new customers. And so you knocking on a stranger's door, hi, I'm your local newspaper delivery girl. Would you like to sign up? There's a special right now. And so there was that. Or even I was in 4-H from elementary, I think, into middle school. And so we would have fundraisers. I remember going to the richer part of town. It was the Mount Rushmore, the anniversary of Mount Rushmore. I don't know if it was the 100th. But they had all of this memorabilia, and our 4-H group decided that's what we were going to sell, and also popcorn. Drop me off at the rich side of town and let me hustle this and door to door. And
I bet you did great.
I did, and got comfortable asking, and I guess at that time got comfortable with the doors being closed and the no's. And I was telling one Girl Scout mom, I was in Girl Scouts for just a hot second. But I remember going to an apartment complex, 2-story, long, dark hallway. I had to be 8, door to door. But that's what, you think about how times have changed.
It was a different world. Yeah.
I never once thought about getting kidnapped. And my mom didn't either. So times have changed. That would never happen today.
No. So what were your plans after high school? What did you want to do with your life when you finished, I guess, the homeschooling part? And what was next? What did you want to do next?
I had to get a GED because, again, since homeschool was very taboo, this diploma that I got wasn't real. And so I had to get a GED, and I did. That came easily. But I wanted to be a history teacher. And so while I was still in high school, I was accepted into Southwestern Adventist University's adult degree program. Because I had been homeschooled, their age limit was, I think, 21 to be accepted. And I was able to get enough references from church friends, from, my bosses at McDonald's to say, okay, she's got it together. And so they gave me a try, and they allowed me to join their adult degree program as an 18-year-old. And so I was doing that, working on some college credit while I was at home and working to be a history teacher. And then when I moved out, I was able to go down to Texas and then actually finish my degree in person.
Okay. What was that experience like? Did you enjoy it, doing it in person and being on campus and everything?
Oh, yeah. I think probably one of the best times of my life. And that's where I met my husband, was down there. That was some of the best times of our life. And we definitely agree that we didn't appreciate it more. It was just, 3 years. Wow, I really wish I could go back and relive some of those moments, the good ones, maybe redo some of the rough ones. But it was just fabulous. I got a degree in social science and also secondary education.
Okay.
And I worked for the head of the history department. I was his teacher's assistant. And so I got to grade a lot of papers, or I got to see kind of the interaction of, they would come in and instead of saying Dr. Jones would say Mr. Jones. And it would just drive him insane. And so just kind of...
yeah, they don't like that.
It was the best time of my life, for sure.
All right, and then you taught history and English, right? At different times?
Yeah, so I did get my first teaching job in Killeen, Texas, which is where Fort Hood is. And I got a job teaching 7th and 8th grade, everything. Because I thought I wanted to teach in the public school. God was like, no, that's not what I want for you. And so I ended up getting a job. I am a Seventh-day Adventist. And so I got a job at a Seventh-day Adventist school there in Killeen, Texas. Taught 7th and 8th grade everything. A lot of our schools around the world do have 2 grades together, which is great because if you have a student who's a little bit farther ahead or a student who is a little bit more remedial, you've got those 2 grades together.
Yeah.
I also taught 9th grade algebra that year, which was a little bit of a surprise. But, hey, I had a great time. But I ended up in Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Minneapolis and Memphis were also part of the journey?
Memphis, yeah.
Yep.
So I taught in Minneapolis for just a year. We were there 364 days. And we were there long enough for our youngest son to be born and to experience a really crazy winter because the snow didn't melt, which we weren't used to that. And we had heard these older gentlemen at a hardware store talk about their snow path. I'm like, what's a snow path?
What is a snow path?
I don't even know what a snow path is. And we realized that whatever you shoveled, that's what you had until April. So if your shovel snow path was like our poor dog by this time of year was traversing a snow mound in our front because our snow path was to the driveway. Mm-hmm. And so in Rapid City.
Because once it starts freezing over and hardening and piling up, you can't do anything.
You are stuck with your snow path.
Well, did you learn to plan your snow path a little better from that point on?
I guess if I ever had to live in Minneapolis.
But you weren't there very long.
We were there one winter.
So
we were stuck with it.
Couldn't even learn from your mistakes.
Couldn't even learn.
That was it.
No. We enjoyed Minneapolis. The reason why we left was, I taught at an Adventist school, and we realized that there was already discussion about whether they were going to downsize the school or close the school. And they didn't mention that in the interview. Well, and I didn't mention that I was expecting a baby either. So I guess we were both hiding things from each other.
All right. So after 12 years of teaching,
Yep.
you decided to make a change.
Yes.
Why was that?
Very easy. The parents. Yeah.
Okay.
When I taught in Memphis, I was an assistant principal I taught at a K-10 school, and that's where I really focused on English and history. Really enjoyed it. And then I was getting my master's degree in educational leadership. I'm actually one thesis paper away, a final draft away, and probably 2 classes away from getting my master's in educational leadership. And a former principal of mine, she was my principal in D.C. or in Virginia. She was the principal here in Orlando at an Adventist school. And she messaged me one day, "You need to call me." I was like, okay. And she's like, they are reopening the little Adventist church school in Tallahassee. She's like, it sounds just like something that you would be interested in. You want to be a principal. This would be great. And so long story short, I got the job. And so we moved here. Now, mind you, this was 12 years ago.
Okay.
So I taught for 12 years, but me coming to Tallahassee was 12 years ago. And so this little church school has been reopened for 12 years. And but when I came, it just became really tough. Just a few folks can make things really difficult, insufferable. It was the worst year of teaching. And so by April, I was done. I was over it. They had really sucked the joy out of teaching. I dreaded going to work. Anytime my phone, because I was the principal, anytime my phone would buzz or ding, I'm like, oh my gosh, heart palpitations.
Yeah.
I just said, I'm done. The joy is, I can't be in a classroom and just hate it. I mean, the little church school is thriving. They have a great staff there. The church supports it. And so they're doing great. And that was happy to see because we invested so much of our family moving here that I'm very thankful that it's become, something that the church and even community members, are attending. And so I'm really happy that they're doing so well.
That's great.
Yeah.
You're in Tallahassee. Mm-hmm. You're not teaching anymore. So where along the line does the idea of running an ice cream truck enter your mind?
So the idea was actually 18 years ago when we lived in D.C. Our youngest son was just a year old, and we were at a park one weekend, and we heard the music. Oh, this is, Thomas's first chance to go to an ice cream truck. How exciting. And this little hoopty ghetto van pulls up. And I think we all kind of grew up with kind of the sketchy van. And, we bought ice cream. And I just remember telling my husband, I could do that so much better. And I said, so when I retire from teaching, I'm going to open up a super cute polka-dotted ice cream truck. And my students knew, like when we would talk about like what we wanted to do when we grew up, we would do like a goal picture, for some lesson. I would make one.
Like a vision board
kind of thing. A vision board before they were popular.
Right.
And I would make
before
one.
Pinterest.
That's right. I would put a polka-dotted ice cream truck, and my kids would they were so sweet, but they would giggle because they knew me as Mrs. Pizarro. And I have this crazy idea to have a polka-dotted ice cream truck. And actually, Facebook reminds me, I think it was a couple weeks ago, in my Facebook memories from 14 years ago, there's a little snippet that says, "Oh, for the day that I can just own an ice cream truck." I'm like, girl, you have no idea the magic you are going to have and the fun.
Yeah.
And so that's where the idea came from.
Okay.
And then it just, replayed, every so often in my classroom. And so when I left teaching, when I retired, I did look for other jobs because I'm like, I have a social science degree. Like, do I want to work for the government? Maybe it was just the school. Like, maybe do I want to go back?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, no, I hate it. But I was like, why not just, I said when I retired, I wanted to try this. And so I left teaching in April, kind of healed April, May, June. But I was looking on Craigslist for an ice cream truck. And my husband is always, he was a great teacher husband, and he's been a great ice cream truck husband. And he was like, yeah, do it. I mean, and our thing is like, even with our boys, if it doesn't work, at least you said you tried.
Yeah.
And if it does work, well, here I am 12 years later, so why not? So I got on Craigslist and was looking at trucks, and I had one in Mississippi I was looking at, one in Atlanta, and we just happened to be going to a friend's wedding in D.C. driving. And so we're
Fun.
like, yeah, trust me, we have driven from Memphis to Virginia, Texas to Virginia. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we've made that trip many times. But we stopped in Atlanta and looked at that truck on the way to the wedding to give it a little test drive. And
was it an ice cream truck or a different kind of truck?
She, at the time, my truck's name is Dolores. She was an ice cream truck at that time. And I think the fellow wanted to just focus on used car sales.
Okay.
But she was an Air Force delivery truck. And that was her first, career. And I think she had been an ice cream truck before this fella had owned her. So she, again, served her country well, retired, went into the ice cream truck world. But yeah,
I like how you personify the truck as her former life and her personality and her service to our country.
Yeah. So most of my truck chasers know that Dolores is her own. I don't know if you remember the Drew Carey show.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it was Mimi was
the crazy makeup and everything.
That is Dolores.
Okay.
I'm like, if she had
big personality
and just a mess,
yeah.
Sassy, and so that, I mean, Dolores, you'll see it. She has a disco ball and she has eyelashes, and she will just break down. She leaks fluids, and so, but she's fabulous. She's over the top, and so yes, she is very personified.
So, walk us through the process a little bit of, okay, you have a truck. Mm-hmm. Okay, having a truck does not give you an ice cream business.
Yeah.
So what were your steps? What was your process in taking this dream, finding a vehicle to deliver it, but then everything it took to actually start the business and kind of get things rolling?
Yeah. So it happened very quickly. And I think that just goes back to me hustling as a kid. The 4-H'er, the newspaper girl, got the truck, got my business license. The toughest part was finding a commissary. So Florida has a crazy rule that even though everything is prepackaged, on paper, I have to have a commissary.
Meaning a commercial kitchen? Or what?
Yes.
That's what a commissary is?
Yeah, like they have to have a 3-bin sink, and they have to be inspected by, I say the initials really fast, DBPR.
Right.
And I knew nobody. We only lived in Tallahassee a year. So I started calling people.
And we'll be right back. How I Got Here is sponsored by Barano Heating and Air Conditioning in Tallahassee. I've been friends with Patrick Barano since we met in a chamber leads group about 15 years ago. I'll admit that I pursued him pretty hard to be his marketing firm and eventually won him over. And the reason I wanted to work with him is that I was already a customer, and I knew what kind of company he and his father before him had built. He cares about his customers, he cares about his team, and he cares about this community. I've experienced Barano Heating and Air when they installed a complete system replacement a few years ago, and I enjoy peace of mind and same-day service with my Total Comfort Service Agreement. I've also been behind the scenes at their office and seen firsthand the true character of this company. And that's why we're so proud to represent them. To learn more or to schedule an appointment online anytime, visit baranoac.com. They really always will be there for you. And now back to the show. So even though you're not preparing anything, you're not cooking anything, you still had to follow the same rules.
And everyone's like, no. And I'm like,
no to what?
No, we won't.
We won't license you?
Well, we won't check the box and sign as your commissary.
Oh, you were trying to find a restaurant that would partner with you.
Because in order to get my license from the Department of Agriculture to sell, I had to get that. The owner of the restaurant had to sign. And no, that's a liability. I'm like, okay.
So how'd you make that happen?
You're right. And it was literally, the Lord working. My inspector for the Department of Agriculture, while I was talking to him one time on the phone, because he admitted, he's like, we know this it's necessary, but not. And I said, okay. Because I was willing to not give him beef, because he's like, I have people curse me out. I have people. And he said, I'm going to tell you something. He's like, because you've been kind, I'm going to tell you where to go. If you go to Connie's Hams, which she used to be over here on Market Square.
Yeah, Market Square.
She is a lot of people's commissaries. He's like, I don't tell anybody because it's technically you're supposed to find it. He's like, but give her a call. I said, I will. And I went, I think that day, and called, showed up, and she just literally took a pen and went, boo, 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 good luck. So I think that is so important. We forget that was like a relationship with that inspector. I mean, again, I could have, of course at home, even you were a little bit, so like, this is ridiculous.
That's very silly.
Right? It's silly, but it's the rule.
Yep.
But because I was kind and I didn't give him crap, he was like, let me do you a favor. And that's something I hold close to my heart, because I've had other ice cream truck pop up in Tallahassee, and I had some random guy call me. He's like, where's your commissary? I'm like, who are you? Because I knew he was having a hard time. I'm not going to give you that little gem. I don't even know. You didn't even introduce yourself. But anyway, that's a tangent. But so I got my commissary, got inspected. That was super easy. And then found my distributors. So I have one distributor that comes from Pensacola. One comes from the Gainesville, Reddick area.
Now, do you get the big tubs of ice cream, and do you scoop that?
I don't scoop. So I have, as I call them, the neighborhood favorites. So strawberry shortcakes, chocolate eclairs, the screwballs, the faces, the bomb pops.
Yeah.
That's what I have.
Everything is packaged up and sealed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But then it comes down to like, so where am I going? What am I doing?
Right.
And I have to
what's your business plan here?
I have no idea. And so I do remember, and I have to laugh at just how naive I was. I went on Twitter, and I opened a Twitter account, and I tweeted.
Okay.
I have no followers. I have no idea how Twitter works. And so I just tweeted, hoping that the world would just hear my tweet, that I was going to be over on Tennessee Street, way over in College Town. And that's where I was going to be. I just expected the masses just to... And I look back, and I'm like, girl, that's not even how...
Not how social media works.
Twitter isn't even a good platform for that.
Right.
But I'm like, oh, that was so much fun.
You gave it a shot.
I gave it a shot, and I learned very quickly. But then it was just a lot of cold calling, which I don't think people give enough credit for. I mean, I've been cold calling this past week or two for new summer camps.
Seems appropriate that an ice cream truck would be cold calling.
That's right.
Sorry, I couldn't let that one go by.
That's okay. But yeah, just calling people, introducing myself. Hi, I own...
So who, businesses, schools?
Schools took a while, but I'm like, where could I go? Real estate offices. So I think Yeah, that was one of my first stops that, they had me come over. I started like rolling through the dealerships. So I'd go to like Kraft Nissan because we actually lived right over there at the time.
Yeah.
And so I would, buzz over there.
So I was going to ask you, was the goal to roll through neighborhoods playing music or to have destinations and be somewhere at a time?
That's a good question. So I thought, like back in the old days, I would just roll the neighborhoods after school. And I quickly realized that here in Tallahassee, nobody's home. There are no latchkey kids anymore. They're all in after-school care. They're all at a program. And I'm like, nobody's home. And I kind of had to really decide, our family is very important, our family time. So could I go out after dinner? I could, but then I'm taking away from my family time. But then also everyone is now at soccer, at gymnastics, at dance, where I think growing up, everyone did that on Saturday. And then you were just home during the week.
It's a lot more involved now. Yeah.
And so I had to quickly realized that, okay, the neighborhoods are not where I'm going to be making all of my money. And so that's when I really started pivoting towards, okay, I need to start doing businesses. Where can I go? It looks like there's a lot of people out at Summit East. Let me give that a try. And sometimes it's been a disaster. Sometimes there are some days, even today, may not be a high revenue day because my son's got a dentist appointment this afternoon. But it gives me the flexibility to do that.
Yeah.
And
I've seen you at Prime Meridian Customer Appreciation Day.
Yes. And so
that was our team went, and that was a nice treat. We weren't expecting the little dessert at the end of it, so that was fun.
So I realized when I first opened that, Kona Ice had kind of the hold on the school market because they were really the only kid-friendly, affordable frozen dessert truck. And I realized, oh gosh, we've got to really infiltrate. And I had to work really hard because we're creatures of habit. PTO moms are creatures of habit, educators, principals, and stuff. And so my first break was at my son's elementary school at W.T. Moore. Miss Crawl, who's since retired, she invited me over to do some quarter awards for her students. And that, kind of opened the door. Had no idea what I was doing. Here's the funny thing. I remember having to put the order in for that visit. It's a different menu, different price point. And looking back, all of it just makes me laugh. I wanted to be mindful of what she wanted. But, principals are busy. Hello. And so she wasn't able to get back to me. And I remember pulling my truck off on Appalachia just in a parking lot so I could call my husband. And I was in tears. And I'm like, babe, I'm supposed to go to W.T. Moore. I have to put my order in by right now. I don't know what to order. I don't want to disappoint her. What do I do? And my husband being so sweet, and he meant this, this was in a sweet way. He said, babe, I don't see what the problem is. And that forever switched something in my mind because there wasn't a problem. He's like, she's just trusting that you're going to do whatever. You do whatever. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, then you're going to pivot. But he's like, you just order what you think you need to order and you're going to be fine. Right. And he was 100% right. But I always think about that. I don't see the problem.
Right.
And usually, my whole philosophy is I don't stress out over ice cream. I refuse to stress out over ice cream. There are some hairy moments where my truck will break down and I've got to juggle some things, but I've never lost sleep over ice cream because it's what is the problem?
Right.
But yeah, it took time to get into the schools and I think a lot of it is just like with my inspector, relationships. Tallahassee is small enough but big enough. And everybody knows everybody. There are some families that have been here for generations. And I realize how many of my customers are connected. And it's all about relationships. Obviously, I do behave myself. But you realize you do have to behave yourself. You have to realize that in conversation, again, that person may know somebody. So being mindful how you say what you say and how you say it and all of that. But then again, if you treat people well, then your name gets passed on. You need to check Momma P's out. And I think a lot of it, I love when people say she's got a really big heart. And you need to support that. Because, I mean, I do sell ice cream, but it's not about the ice cream at this point. It is about what can I do to help somebody else? What can I do to bring joy in a different way that isn't ice cream?
We'll talk about the experience a little bit. Obviously, your deliverable is not just the package that you hand through the window.
Yeah.
So what do you want people to, kids and adults, to experience in their interactions with you? And what do you want their takeaway to be when they're done?
She was really kind. And I'll probably get choked up a little bit about that because it's so important to my heart. Because we live in a world that is really rough. And so if someone can walk away and say, wow, like she really cared about me, she really saw me as a person. I mean, here's the thing. Some interactions are just very quick. They're very transactional. You know, I still try to be friendly. That's the McDonald's coworker in me. But then, like yesterday in my neighborhood route, I think I stopped and talked. That's a surprise, right? Talked, with a couple families for, more than 5 minutes. And that is really important to me. I mean, when I go to some of the high schools or, even just wherever I am, I've given dating advice. I had one of the high school girls a couple weeks ago ask me if she should dye her hair. And I gave her I'm like, please don't. Once you start, you can't stop. You look fabulous. And so just having some of those, I've had customers come up and say, my mom just died. I mean, that just hits you. I mean, I lost my dad at an early age, and that's just like out of the blue. I mean, like they're literally handing you a very delicate, personal situation. I mean, the ice cream is there, but let's have, I was going through a neighborhood and little boy and his grandfather were out. It was a new neighborhood, never saw them. And how are you doing? And the grandfather said, my son died yesterday. He whispered that.
Wow. I'm
like, I'm so sorry. And it was his dad. And we got talking, and the little boy didn't know that Grandpa and I had that discussion. And this little, I think he was 4, looked at me and said, my daddy died yesterday. I mean, just like, whoa. And that was a moment where I got off the truck. And you go give the grandpa a hug. And I said, I lost my dad. You're going to be okay. And you're going to have good days and bad days. But you're going to be okay. And, I told the little boy, I knelt down and said, I'm really sorry you lost your daddy. I said, but you're going to be okay. Just like those things as I get teared up. I mean, no one teaches you how to do that. Like I didn't learn that at McDonald's. But that's the mom in me. That's the teacher in me. And
when you come out and remove that barrier
100%.
and you're face-to-face with somebody.
Yeah. It's kind of like, I say I keep the magic with me, but like when the Wizard of Oz like rips the curtain, I mean, the magic is lost. But because magic is real. Like the experience is real. But like kids will see me and we were at El Jalisco last week. I was there with my whole family, and all of a sudden around the corner, here comes a mom and the youngest son. I don't know anyone's name, by the way, but I can tell you where you live and everything. And he's like, Momma P. And the mom's like, I am so sorry. And I'm like, no, it's okay. And we just sat there and talked. And I'm like, this is my family. This is my boys. I introduced everybody. And we just had a good old conversation. But it's so fun to be out in the community because I will recognize people. Like, where do I know them from? Where is it work or school? But then people, like when I was a teacher, when you're outside of your classroom, oh, it's Mrs. Pizarro. She doesn't live at the school. And my truck chasers will, sometimes I don't talk to them, but I hear like, I think that's Momma P. That's the ice cream truck lady.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just, it has become its own. And the thing was, since I was a Christian teacher for 12 years, as soon as I left the classroom, I mean, I would tell my students about Jesus all the time. I mean, you can talk about anything spiritual in science or math or whatever.
Sure.
And when I left, it left this huge void. And I remember asking my husband, how do I share Jesus with people? Do I hand out tracts? I don't know. And again, great advice. Alex said, you just need to pray about it and just let it happen. And it was really after COVID when, my teacher friends were at home and we're really struggling. And I'm like, encouragement. I can really offer encouragement to them, to my customers. We're going to get through this. And then so it just happened. And I think that's when I really stepped into my Momma P.
Your persona?
My persona, but it's real though. It's part of...
It's not an act you put on. It's just...
No.
Just you coming out in
Every
a
so
different
often
way.
I will have because I can have a rough day. We all have rough days. And sometimes I can tell my customers no. They'll look at me just I'm not my normal self.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm dealing with something. You get the phone call, you get the bill in the mail, and you just that sits on you a little bit.
Yeah.
So my customers every so often will know, they don't know what to say. But
Right.
I can tell that they know that I'm not my normal, bubbly self or whatever. But it's real. It's genuine. So.
All right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So I need to ask you just a couple things about the ice cream in the truck. So what is your best seller? What is the thing that people like to buy from you the most?
It really depends on where I'm at.
Okay.
If I'm at a school, I'll be at a school on Friday, I'll be up at Clarn Lakes.
Yeah. Cotton
Candy, sour blue raspberry, 100%.
And that's ice cream?
Popsicles.
Yeah, see, I'm never wasting my time on popsicles.
Here's the thing. This is what I tell people. I will get, especially adults, what's low cal? What's low fat? And I tell them, listen, get something that you're going to enjoy because then the calories aren't wasted. So for me, I would never touch a sugar cookie. Never. But if you put chocolate chip cookies, if there was a plate here, I would try to see how many I could take home. But if it was a plate of sugar cookies,
Right.
I'm going to leave that with you. On the truck, for example, I could eat 3 Snicker bars. But yeah, I would not eat a cotton candy ever.
Right.
No.
So popsicles are big with the kids.
With the kids. But if I'm at Prime Meridian, when we saw each other, that was a lot of the Just Dip bar, which are Eskimo bars
Right.
from back in the day. Or anything Oreo. There was a lot. I got extra Oreo bars for Prime Meridian. But then at summer camps, Sour Bomb Pops, Faces. I have these cups. They're called Big Daddies, cups of Oreo ice cream. I can't keep those on the truck.
Yeah.
Or Screwballs. I had a family looking for Screwballs. So it really depends. So that's why my menu can have up to 65 things. Because someone will ask, do you have a Screwball in there? If I saw you at Prime Meridian, you're like, do you have a Screwball? I got one in here for you.
Yeah, your special stash.
Yeah, because I just, a bunch of senior citizen business people are not going to be looking for Screwballs. But
what is a Screwball? I don't even know what it is.
That's old school.
Okay.
That's what I tell people. That it has the gumball on the bottom. And it's a little triangular cone-shaped cup. And it's like they put a popsicle in a cup. They date back to, I think, the 50s or 60s. That's how long they've been around.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have gone for that either.
No, me neither.
Yeah. So I don't think I've ever... My boys have eaten plenty of Screwballs. But no, not me.
So you've talked about your boys.
Yeah.
And you having this business. So... did they ever get dropped off or picked up from school in an ice cream truck? And if they did, what was their reaction? What was their attitude about that?
So my boys have grown up on the truck. I started when they were in 2nd grade and VPK. And so, yes, my VPKer would get picked up at noon in the ice cream truck, and then we would go hit the street. So a lot of people remember Abraham, who's now 15, as this little chubby, curly-haired boy that could barely see out the window. And then Thomas was at W.T. Moore at the time. There were times that I would go through parent pickup. And, of course, everyone knew I had the ice cream truck. And just for fun and chaos, I would flip the music on. Because, there's chants. Ice cream.
Right.
And when our boys were in middle school, some days I have to go pick them up. Or we have a quick appointment. Instead of taking the bus, here comes the ice cream truck in middle school parent pickup. And
so are you like a taxi where you're like serving, not serving, or if you're there, you're serving?
So I'm very mindful of that because I know I create chaos. And so parent pickup line, absolutely not.
Can't stop the whole line.
Right. Well, and I also think about safety.
Yeah.
Right. And so parent pickup is already insane. So no.
And very regimented and
very much so.
Yeah.
And the teacher in me, again, I will create chaos. I'm like the fun aunt. I'll create chaos with the music. But then, yeah, I'm not going to sell because like nobody would get by me.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So how seasonal is it? We're recording this in February and it happens to be very warm this week, but still the winter. I assume you sell more in the summer, but how seasonal is this business?
It is seasonal in a way that you're probably not expecting.
Okay.
I do sell a lot during the summer because I'm at summer camps.
Right.
So that's just a given. Now, when I go out in my neighborhoods on Sunday during the summer, sales aren't as high as people would expect because I think half of my people are out of town. They're at the beach, they're somewhere. And then the other week, everyone flip-flops. And then just think about what we do in the middle of July or August. No one leaves the house.
No.
We're hibernating, windows.
It's unpleasant out there.
Blinds are pulled, and we're just in the house. And so I call it hibernating. I don't sell like millions of dollars in the summer because, people are like, oh, you must. I
Right.
don't. So the best time to sell is on a beautiful day like today. You're exactly right. I think it's going to be high 60s.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah.
Windows are open. People are outside. So think about early spring, fall. I always tell people, I love the brave people. It's never too cold for ice cream. You do get some South Floridians that I think it's just too cold, period, for them. But I love the bravery. I just love the parent who lets their kid run out without shoes, right, in the middle of December. They have shorts on, but here they get released to the elements. And,
Yeah.
That's what I think you can tell the people who just love to have fun.
Yeah.
I have color changing spoons, like temperature changing. And I had one lady one time, she's like, why would you even have these?
Like fun's not enough?
Because they're fun. And so I think some people
Yeah.
just have that mindset of just, why would I get ice cream
Right.
in the middle of January? I mean, why not?
I had some last night.
I know. So it's never too cold for ice cream.
No.
Yeah.
All right, Tasha, looking back, what is the one thing or person that has changed or altered the trajectory of your life to this point?
Oh my gosh, I'm already tearing up. Okay. Gotta compose myself. I will choke. My boys will tell you, the Olympics have been kind to me, but usually I can get choked up at a commercial.
Yeah.
They'll be like, Mom, or do you need a tissue? I'm fine. The Kleenex commercial got me this year. Okay. That is a tough question because I look back at my life and I see how all of the people that I've interacted with, all of the experiences that I've had have really layered on who I am. Honestly, and it's not to sound cheesy because I know some people are like, God has been so good. But looking back, I'm like, he has carried me and my family through everything. My husband lost his job one time, and it was just the peace that came from, knowing the Lord was going to provide. He has really carried us through some really dark seasons, but has also blessed. We say we are rich in blessings. That's what we tell our boys. We are so rich in blessings. And it's having that relationship with him that has really made me Momma P. Like what you see is what you get. The kindness and the sass and all of that just really comes from that, but also from a human perspective. Alex, my husband, we've been together for 25 years, and he has just been the biggest supporter. Any crazy idea, most of the crazy ideas that I've had, even as a teacher, he's like, yeah. So when I taught in Virginia, we were reading Tom Sawyer. And I'm like, let's build a raft and take it on the Potomac River. And one of my dads who was in construction, he was like, I'm going to help you do this. I'm like, fabulous. And he's like, do you have a tether? I'm like, oh, the great God, I need a tether.
You don't want the kids to float away.
And I realized once we got out there, I'm like, I would have lost some students down. Anyway, but any crazy idea I ever had, Alex was like, let's talk about that a little bit, or do it.
Right.
And to have a cheerleader who is just there and just along for the ride, and he'll just tell people, like, I'm so proud of her. Like, she got this business together. Like, every person deserves a cheerleader. Or like when things just fall apart, well, hey, we're going to figure it out. I know it's a big thing now. And we really have gotten through, whether it's ice cream world or with our boys or together, we have survived every bad day that we've had.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
My final question, the podcast is called How I Got Here. So we've talked about how you got to this point in your life. Where do you think here might be for you in 3 to 5 years from now?
Wow, 3 to 5 years. Our boys will be all done and graduated. It'll be probably me and my husband hanging out, empty nesters. And I hope to still be driving the ice cream truck. We say we're on God's time. And so if God ever closes a door, we know that he's got something else in store. And so I would hope to still be on the ice cream truck, driving around Tallahassee, meeting new people. But I'm just really excited to see, what our boys are going to do. One's a welder. He's over at Lively. So I'm going to be excited to see what he really does. And then our youngest is in the Civil Air Patrol and wants to be in the Air Force. And so
nice.
I'm really excited to see what he's flying in a couple years. And I'm like, hey, can you do like a flyover? That would be really great. Like, just give me a heads up and I'll go outside and see what you're flying. So
thanks for listening to the show. You can subscribe at Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And while you're there, please leave us a review. It really does make a difference. Thanks to my amazing staff at Fiore Communications, who pick up the slack while I'm working on these podcasts, and to Troy Bloom for composing our theme music. You can hear more of Troy's creations on Facebook and Instagram at Troy Bloom Music. To connect with the podcast or suggest a future guest, follow us on social media or email us at podcast@fiorecommunications.com.